Okay, I'd like to call to order the Policy Committee meeting for Tuesday, May 21st for the Nashua Board of Education. We are at Nashua High School North. It is 6:04 p.m. Committee members are Mr. Mosher. Mr. Mosher, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Mr. Mosher is here. He's by phone. Are you by yourself?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Ms. Van Twyver, can you hear me?
Yes.
Ms. Van Twyver is here also by telephone. Are you by yourself?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. We also have Ms. Timmons and Mr. Garino. And also with us, we have Mr. Donovan and Ms. Fitzpatrick. And also from Food Service is Ms. Daigle. Did I say your name correctly? Okay, great. Thank you. So, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to point out to folks that we don't have a lot. This is an additional policy meeting.
Okay.
But it's because the policies that we have in front of us really need to go before the full board and be passed in order to come into compliance with state mandates. So I anticipate that this won't take a long time.
Okay, great. That's good. All right, our first business before the board, before the committee is AC non-discrimination. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Fitzpatrick.
This is the policy. You may remember that Ms. O'Gara had brought forward to the full board, and we said, no, it really had to go back to the subcommittee first. So the subcommittee has seen this a couple of times, and she ran it by the person at the state to make sure that all the language was correct. And you can see the few changes are the purple, the state agency will be notified, that sentence. And then 2 lines down, any individual with a complaint should go directly to the school district, go through the school district process, but may choose to bypass this policy and proceed directly to any of the following agencies that are pertinent to their complaint, and the agencies are listed. And then below, the Nashua School District is willing and able to assist in the completion and submission of all paperwork up to all levels. So the additional information that is in here is from advice of the state to make sure we were in compliance.
Great, great. Thank you. Mr. Mosher, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I reviewed it and I agree with it 100%. I'd like to make a motion to move this policy AC to the full board for recognition and to secure it.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay. On the motion to approve the policy AC, Mr. Mosher?
Yes.
Ms. Van Twyver?
Yes.
Mr. Garino votes yes. Motion carries 3-0. All right. The next one is our wellness policy. It's policy JLCF. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Fitzpatrick.
Yes, this wellness policy needed to be updated again to be in compliance, and Dahlia and I went back and forth through the person at the state, Kathy Hodges, until we had made sure that we added everything in that we needed to add in to make it come into compliance. And we got an email last Thursday, I believe, that said, we're all set, it's perfect.
Actually, yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Oh, okay.
All set, yeah.
That we're all set and it's good to go. So this has also been run by the state agency to make sure that it's in full compliance with what they're looking for.
Okay, thank you. I have something I'd like to put before the 2 members of this committee. Under physical education and wellness activities, there's something that is, I don't see there. It's encouraging students to walk or bicycle to school and participating in safe routes to school. Now, that's something that I think is happening in a lot of places in the country. The number of students that walk to and from school or bicycle has dropped off dramatically to no fault of anyone, to no fault of the students or the parents. The reason is because we locate our schools in places where you have to have a car or a motor vehicle. But since Nashua is an older city, we have a lot of schools that are in the position where they are near neighborhoods like Dr. Crisp, Sunset Heights, Mount Pleasant, Fairgrounds,
Amherst Street, I think.
Amherst Street, yep. So I was going to suggest, and I want to get the members to think about this, that to add another bullet point under where it says physical education and wellness activities, that just to give the principals of the schools the option. So whenever possible, students will be encouraged to walk or bicycle to school, and principals will participate their schools in safe routes to school programs as they deems feasible. So we'll leave it flexible to the principals to participate. So I was wondering how the committee members feel about just adding that in there, just to remind principals and our schools that we could continue to encourage students. There's a lot of obstacles in the way. There's stranger danger. There's traffic and danger. So it's not easy to do, but since some of our schools are in a position where there's a lot of sidewalks around them, I think that it might be a good idea to remind people that you can still walk or bicycle to school. In fact, my daughter goes to Nashua High South, and I don't usually drop her off at school, but one day I had the day off, and I saw students bicycling to school. I think Ms. Timmons says that one of her grandsons bicycles to school at Nashua High South. So
That is correct.
yeah. So I just wanted to get the committee members' ideas on that. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I agree that, we should have something that, kind of a blurb there about walking or biking to school, and to explore and explain to the students about the possibility of walking or biking to school where feasible or practical over the safe route to school routes.
Okay. Ms. Van Twyver, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't have any problem with that, except for maybe if the wellness committee might have some objections to it or concerns, I don't know. I think that if children are encouraged to walk to school or to ride their bikes, that's a good idea.
Okay. I think Ms. Timmons and then Ms. Fitzpatrick.
Yes, I agree with the two previous speakers. I believe that whenever possible, they should walk or ride their bikes to school. However, I believe the physical education wellness activities, these bullets may cover that, maybe not in that detail. So I would like to hear from Ms. Fitzpatrick if that's included as well on the activities.
Right, not specifically, so I think it's fine to add it, especially because we make an option based on safety. What I did raise my hand about was just to say the Wellness Committee has a meeting tomorrow. So I can bring this to them and just say, this is what the subcommittee would like to submit. Is this okay with the wellness group? And then it would be ready for the full board next week.
Okay. So we can approve it with this in this, and you bring it?
I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
It falls within the guidelines of what the state said for wellness activities.
Okay.
I have one other concern.
Go ahead, Mr. Mosher.
Okay, under the physical education and wellness activities, the third line down, It says recess period at the discretion of the team. What team are they talking about? Or is that just something that was overlooked and got stuck in there? The words, the team. What team?
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead, Ms. Fitzpatrick.
It's the team of classroom teachers. So we encourage movement activity. In the 4th and 5th grade, they can have the second break depending on how much they've accomplished that day, if they're in the middle of some kind of testing, if they're working on a project. But they definitely have one, and at the discretion of the team of teachers, they may have a second one. And
All
that's
right.
4th and 5th grade.
We should elucidate, make that, said the standout words, the team, to indicate what the team is. Team of teachers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can we add those two words there, the team of teachers?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, I don't have any objection. Do you have any objection, Ms. Van Twyver?
No, I don't think so. I do think team needs to be spelled out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the administration team, I don't know.
Okay. Okay,
Mr.
so
Guarino, can I ask you for the
Yep.
sentence about bicycling again? You read it
Sure.
a little fast.
I'll go over it again.
Okay.
Just add a fourth bullet under physical education and wellness activities that says, whenever possible, comma, students will be encouraged to walk or bicycle to school, and principals will participate in the Safe Routes to School program to provide wherever feasible or practical. And if anybody has any, I'm going to add that in unless someone has an objection to that. Any other comments or questions on our wellness policy, JLF?
I'm all set.
Okay. I could entertain a motion to approve JLCF.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Okay, on the motion to accept JLCF with those amendments that we talked about, Mr. Mosher,
Yes.
Ms. Van Twyver,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino votes yes. Motion carries 3-0. Okay. Moving along very quickly here, we have proposed DID inventory management. And that is
Mr. Donovan?
inventory management. Would anyone like to speak to this, Mr. Donovan?
Yes. This is the last of the policies. If you recall, about a month ago, we went through a number of policies that are required as part of the assurances related to grants that the state has asked us to sign. I believe the assurance item itself is coming up next week's board meeting. So there was one more policy that we needed to get through. When the auditor came in to do the review of the monitoring report, I've gone through them all now. We've either had things in place that were acceptable or we've created new ones. This is the last one. So basically, it's really two pieces. You'll notice the first page is the policy, and then behind it is the procedure. And the procedure is a two-page document versus the policy being one. We are also working on, for all our grants, having a grant manual so that we can track all this. And I've been working on that here and there over the last probably 6, 7 weeks. I'll continue to do that, and then at some point, maybe through Finance and Ops, I'll bring together the full policy manual for federal grants. But, so as I said, we don't have an existing inventory management policy. I sort of kept it pretty straightforward, gave some definitions defining what property, different levels of property and definitions. And then basically the procedures I just listed at the bottom. Here are the various procedures. You would then go to the inventory procedure, and it'll give you all the details.
Thank you, Mr. Donovan.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Ms. Van Twyver.
I just question the term personal property. How is it used here? Personal means my property.
Where is that referenced?
Under
Oh, in the
supplies.
first paragraph, it says equipment means tangible personal property. And then in the second one, supplies mean all tangible personal property. I just question the use of personal, because personal means to me my property,
Yeah.
not the school's property.
That's a good question. That's an accounting term. Personal property, that's, I guess, how would I describe the opposite of that? But it's a term used frequently in accounting for property related to the entity. I can see it being confusing, but to an accountant, it's a fairly common term that's used.
Would it be okay to put in a definition of personal property in the policy?
Yeah, if you wanted to add that, I could do that.
Could we do that in the references, put like a star on it or something like that? Put down at the bottom where it says all of the procedures above meet the requirements. And then under, just before board approved, have like a star or a footnote on personal, or after property, put like a 1 in the footnote, and then down at the bottom, just before board approved, have 1 and just say what personal property is, the definition.
I could do that.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's an asterisk.
Or an asterisk, yeah.
Well, you
And
could have
that should
a
go,
section that says definitions, personal property.
After all tangible personal property, and have the responding asterisk at the end.
Okay.
The other thing I would like to point out is that the business office manual procedure is a district procedure and not a board procedure. Just want to make that point clear.
That's very true.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are there any
thanks,
other-
Mr.
Go ahead, Mr. Mosher, you have the floor.
I think that Mr. Donovan has done a wonderful job on this inventory management and procedures. And I think that with the addendum to it, that it would be good to process it along to the full board.
Okay. Now, the inventory procedure, are you asking us to approve that also? Or is that a separate motion?
No, I don't think you need, because it's a procedure, so the
Okay.
board doesn't need to approve it, but I just wanted to have it with here since it's mentioned in the policy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's part of the explanation, so.
Okay. So I'm looking, unless anyone has any more questions or comments, I'm looking for a motion to approve policy DID with the added definition of personal property.
So move.
Okay.
Adopt proposed DID policy with a change of adding the description of a tangible personal property, and move it forward to the full board for
Okay.
approval.
Okay. And so, I heard Mr. Mosher make the motion. Is that a second? Ms. Van Twyver?
No, I actually made the motion.
Oh, you made the motion? Motion, okay, all right, so,
That's fine.
okay. And Mr. Mosher, I'll put you as a second.
Right.
Okay. On the motion, Mr. Mosher,
Yes.
Ms. Van Twyver,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino votes yes. Motion carries 3-0. Okay. So that brings us to the end of our agenda. Does anyone have any more questions or comments? I think we're pretty much, Ms. Fitzpatrick?
I did just want to tell the board, I had intended on having the middle-level education policy this month. I've been in conversations with some union leadership, and although I've made some changes, there still seems to be an issue, so I'm trying to get that straightened out so I can bring it forward for the next meeting. But it will definitely be on the June 4th agenda,
Okay, great.
okay?
Thank you. All right, so unless anyone else has any questions or comments, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second it. On the motion to adjourn, Mr. Mosher,
Yes.
Ms. Van Twyver,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino votes yes. We are adjourned at 6:25 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Mosher. Have a good night.
Thank you. I think we set a record tonight.
I think we did. Thank you, Ms. Van Twyver. Have a good night. Have a good night.
Good night.